Hi everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Culture of Paint. In this episode, we're going to take a look at what's caught our eye over the last couple of weeks in the miniatures painting world. For our main topic, we're going to take a look at critters, so all the pets, familiars and beasties that we seem to be getting millions of different models for in all the different systems. And then we'll close out the show as usual, this time with a bumper look at what some of the hashtag paint cultists have been up to. Now, Culture of Paint is aimed at a mature audience, and we might use explicit language and discuss adult themes. Now let's talk about paint. Okay, I think we've got everything running. The chat's there. They are. Everything's rolling. Good evening, everyone. I'm Henry. As usual, joining me are Andy and Matt. How are we doing, chaps?
Great, mate.
Well, very nice. It's been a few weeks since we've been on. Real life getting in the way, as it so often does. And Rich can't be with us tonight, but he's not disappeared completely. He's even dialed in a few of his picks so we can have a chat and just slag him off, really, while he's not on here.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to rip on him this week.
I don't know what his pick is, yeah. Nice to see all of you in the chat here. We're going to have an announcement out soon about what we're going to be doing with the show going forwards, a little bit more of a sort of regular schedule with things, and you'll know what's coming up, but we'll leave that for a future episode. The one tonight is one I particularly have been looking forward to. I have a right stonk on for little critters in miniature form. So I cannot wait to see what you guys have come up with as well. So as always in the chat, if you've got any questions, fire them at us. I'll do my best to keep an eye on it, and we'll circle back around to them probably at the end when we're doing the paint cultist stuff. But let's jump in to what's been going on probably over the last month, I think, isn't it?
It's bloody loads,
4 weeks.
That's
yeah,
loads of things.
Although it slows down a touch, doesn't it? It seems to anyway this time of year, thankfully.
The most important thing is coming. The rumour mill is giving us all the Christmas.
A lot of Eldars, yeah.
It might be the best Christmas of all time. I mean,
will you get a jumper for it?
No.
Oh well, yeah, I would have had the Christmas squig to be on this Critters episode, but sadly they were recalled. So,
did you get one though?
I ordered one and then just cancelled the order.
Oh, I would have loved that.
Just keep it. It's
I know,
only
right?
a problem if you like chew it.
Well,
just don't chew it.
can't be responsible for that type of thing, right? Cool. What have we got? Who's got the picks up first?
So, first up.
Nice one. And Matt, can you chuck me the slides as well, bud, when you get a chance? That'd be grand.
So the first up is that new towel thing, Bob.
Dark Strider. I think that's what he's called.
Yeah.
So Andy's sort of our resident Tau fan. But I wanted to pick this guy partly because I do think it's a really cool model, and there will be a theme to a lot of my picks tonight in that there's critters in them. And this one obviously has two adorable little drones.
Drone critters!
So we've even got sci-fi robot critters. Yeah, man, this range is pretty damn good now. I don't think there's an old. I suppose the Kroot are the old kit, aren't they?
You don't have Kroot in a Tau army anyway. They're terrible.
You'd think they'll probably be a Kill Team box if Kill Team does well. I'd imagine. No,
I just want them killed off. That's an episode.
Really?
Yeah. What?
Great.
Just what did you get rid of? Yeah, I love them, man. Like I used to love the old Forge World ones they did, the bigger beasties. They're like pack beasts.
Yeah, they're all right, but I don't know. I like the robots, not the silly beak faces.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of the best Tau models they've done, don't you?
It's really nice, isn't it? It's got. I mean, yeah, we're often saying we feel like they're jumping forwards a bit with their miniatures, but again, this one feels like. I mean, the fact it's a plastic kit is fantastic. It's very, very 3D, isn't it? Even we can even see from this photo that's going to be a cool model, no matter how you look at it, isn't it?
Oh, what really got me was the paint job.
Yeah,
and obviously heavy metal paint jobs are always pristine, but I feel this is a slight stylistic change because there's less bold edge highlighting. It feels way more natural. The painting on the face is softer. The battle
and the glove, isn't it? The glove's quite different.
It's amazing. I bet in real life it looks so good. I wish they'd say who the painters were, but hopefully when it's
Yeah.
out, they'll put it on their own social media. But I'd really like to know who painted it because it's so good.
Because you're right, it is. It's got that slightly more what's that sort of popular style at the moment that's slightly more illustrative, right? There's like the lenses are quite a good example. They don't look like your typical GW lenses, do they?
I think for me it's the yellow armor is the big standout because the edge highlights are slightly softer, especially in the center, and then on the circular bit they're a little brighter on the top, so they're not like the same brightness on every single edge. It's like it's a subtle change in style, and I think moving forward with the paint style with the quality of the miniatures, I just thought this is such a progression of Tau and that. So yeah, I think it's really awesome, and I definitely want to paint this one. Really want to get my Tau back. But
do you think this one's good enough that we might see it? Let's just say Golden Demon happens and all the rest of it. Is as a competitive painter and as a sort of competitive painting nerd, Matt, what do you think this sort of model's got enough to it to be a single mini or not? Or do you think it's screaming to be a little duel or a diorama or something?
I think
vignette.
Yeah, vignette or squad. I think in single mini alone it would probably struggle just for the size and probably the bit of a wow
presence.
Factor.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to paint it. I think people would paint it to their highest standard for fun. Like I'd like to not do a quick job of it, like do everything perfect, but as a piece to own, not necessarily be competitive because it's in 40k single, which is just grim.
Yeah.
And you just need your big guys like Abaddon and someone with a massive banner. So I think it would be tricky to win with it, but it would be a lovely project to paint to your best. If you never do a Tau model, this would be what you go for. So only big praise for this. The only thing is it's probably the only new Tau mini, right, with the Codex, but this
kind of getting used to that, aren't we now?
Yeah.
Unless you're getting a whole new range, you're
like
getting a character, right? Yeah.
Have you seen the Codex drama on Twitter? Apparently it says supplement on the side.
Oh wow!
So
the Eldar one?
Is it the Eldar or the Tau one? Yeah, I think it's the Tau one. Yeah.
Oh really?
I think
how strange. I know. I got. Sorry, Matt. Go on.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw a Twitter thread with it where it says supplement on the side, unless it's been photoshopped.
On all codexes, supplements to the rulebook.
I don't know. I've got an Orc one and the Black Templars one, and the Orc one doesn't say supplement; it just says Codex Orcs.
So
but the Black Templars one does say supplement.
Oh wow, that's big, people.
Interesting.
Well, I don't care.
We don't need to worry about that. Thankfully, this one.
Pipe down, boys. Yeah.
Someone's asking, "Is what's up with Andy's camera?" Oh yes, that's a very good point.
Oh.
I can see Andy clear as day, but I've just had a glance on and he's turned his lights off. It's all right, we'll get him back. Don't worry. You can imagine what he looks like, Jody. Don't worry. He's just sitting in the dark, waiting to see you. But yeah, do you think? Yeah, I think you should pick this guy up. I'd like to see you have a go at, as I say, not necessarily comp piece, but I'd love to see you do a little, like that Farseer you did a while ago, the Eldar Farseer.
Yeah, definitely.
Just that sort of high level but personal passion piece kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do with the new Eldar.
Really?
I just, being realistic, I don't want to do an army with them. If they say they brought out every aspect warrior, I would just paint every aspect warrior on its own plinth and
lovely.
Indulge loads of time in it. And that's what I want to do with Eldar, and I can't wait for that. It'd be so nice to have. So,
So we're gonna have to peel you off the floor, aren't we, when that drops next year? Yep. What is up for the next pick, Matt? But yeah, Darkstrider, lovely. Even as someone who, I want to say I'm not a Tau fan, but that's because I just don't need more things I like. But yeah, what a lovely model. Good work. Top work, G-Dub.
So next up this was my pick.
Ah, lovely stuff.
Yeah. So I wanted this miniature for a while. It's Major Tom from Raphael Pekka, something like that. And it's always out of stock everywhere, so you can never get it. But I saw this the other day, and I really liked the OSL effect, and just it's yeah, it's just really cool.
It's nice. Has Marco covered it on his channel?
I think so.
I feel like I've seen a thumbnail
Yeah.
on it. Yeah,
I imagine he's probably done it, but yeah, it was really striking. So just really caught my eye when I was scrolling through the feeds. Yeah,
I miss Raphael Picker. I think he was a great person in the community, and I miss having him around.
So what's the deal? This is an older sculpt, is it?
He had a range of miniatures. Every project he did was awesome, like personal competition, and then he'd sculpt, like, he was just such a force, and then just went off the scene. Did Crystal Brush with like a massive corn warrior, and then he'd do a bust like this you could buy, and he did that famous robot workshop which had a working camera in, so you could take a picture of yourself and it would turn up in the diorama. Do you remember that?
No. We need to find that for the next show. I want to see that.
Yeah, he's just
his name, Raphael Pica.
Maybe that's the show. Hobbyists we miss.
Yeah.
Come back out.
Sounds fun.
But yeah, it's cool to see paint jobs still coming up on these old sculpts. I hope that gives him a buzz.
Definitely. He's a nice guy to talk to as well. I've chatted sort of back and forth with him on Instagram.
Yeah.
But nice. Yeah. No, I just saw this, thought it was really striking, and was like, yeah, that'll be a pick. But yeah.
That's a nice one, man. What's the chat talking? Yeah, lots of fans for Eldar in there.
Go on.
Seba, when will you guys hit up BattleTech? Already am, mate. Already been on the BattleTech train for a few years, bud, and actually working with a friend of mine on a 28mm infantry focused, largely infantry and APC focused version of the game. So yeah, if you want some BattleTech content, keep watching. There'll be plenty on there. Got a printer sat in the corner as well, waiting to try and do some slightly larger scale. So yeah, Seba 227. Yeah, Wicked Universe. But yeah, I'd love to. I think we said in the past, actually, we wanted to do some episodes on the slightly more obscure games. Not that BattleTech's that obscure, but you know what I mean. And James is going to be cleaning some mold lines. Lovely. I popped on a friend's fantasy podcast the other evening to do a 1 hour paint project. Thoroughly embarrassed myself. Didn't do any painting and just built a model. So let's move on to your pick, Andy.
Well, we do have Richard's pick.
Oh, right. So let's rip it apart. Well, no, let's praise it and rip Rich apart.
It's not a Primaris, so congrats.
It's not a Space Marine.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, that's rad.
It's not clear metallic. Well done. I love everything that's come out for this range. Is it Crisis Protocol?
Is this not? No,
like
is this Crisis Protocol? No, I think this is. Didn't Big Child do a? Or someone did a range of not chibi Marvel stuff, but that kind of vibe. And
is that not Protocol?
Yeah, I think that's what this is from. No, Protocol's much more of a skirmish game, like a Necromunda, that type of thing with proper sort of.
But this is the classic Big Child Marvel.
I believe so. Yeah.
It's bloody brilliant, all of it.
It's cool, isn't it?
Let me find the post it was on.
What a really interesting paint
part
style.
Of Marvel United X-Men from Cool Million Art.
That's
there we
Marvel
go.
United. It's Ruben. It's always good. He's one of the most interesting painters, I think.
Is it Ruben, the guy who paints on shadows a lot?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
And he did the bird and the egg with the giant and the egg slayer sword winner.
Yes.
Everything he does
two
is
swords.
very interesting. We should have him on. He's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very, very cool. I bet that's quite challenging to paint that piece.
I bet that in a photograph as well, like non-candid, looks insane. Like when they do their studio photo shots, I can't wait to see that. So.
Cool mini as well.
Yeah, very well,
Rick, not a Space Marine. I'm proud of you.
Hey. He's been doing quite well recently, hasn't he? He's been giving us some sort of World War II stuff as well recently. So, although I think he's painting Space Marines.
Yeah,
good.
Oh yeah,
good on him. Good on him. Go and check out our Why Space Marines
Don't go too far.
Which Space Marine this week though?
T's each, innit? Which in this colour scheme, that's why he likes it.
Nice. Very good. Right, we've ragged on him enough. Let's get the last pick up and then let's crack on with our critic. Oh yes, what a great pick.
I was like, Matt, I know everyone else has picked this already, and he was like, no, and I was like, you what? Go on then. I'm just gonna say it's all about the mushrooms. It's the best bit.
It is Tom Bombadil.
I don't know. His wellies look pretty good, man.
It's the base for me as an avid forest base fanatic. Yeah, super good. I really want to.
Go on, Matt, sell it, introduce it, rather than us just telling you how good it is.
Does go all out on his basing, doesn't he? He has some of like just the little pieces he does. Just have like some of the best like little diorama style bases.
Well, they're always small, I think. I say when they're all out, they're not over the top. They're always small, but the detail in it is the same as the miniature, which is probably what they do as a judging criteria. But remember, like his Skaven gutter runners, which is almost where he came onto the scene, and the detail on the rock. And I always think about that rock when I'm painting for Golden Demon. I'm like, I better paint these rocks nice because otherwise they'll real slag me off. So I better. Better detail this.
Do you remember when we were chatting on the diorama episode the other week? If the base was, if the diorama was quite large and you painted them all to that level, would it end up getting a bit overwhelming to look at? Like, would you need to do that thing where you've talked about it before? Some painters they'll slightly blur the background, right, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, I would adjust my paint style for like things like that because I think for Golden Demon they would like it to be sharp and clear, whereas I personally would paint rock really diffused and I wouldn't do any edge highlights on it. But I think almost out of worry, I'd probably make sure I'd do it. And but yeah, anyway, like the mushrooms on this base are just superb, and I hope that we get a Golden Demon event so I can bug Max with questions about this base, or even just look at it in real life because I think every time I look at one of Max's projects, which isn't very often, he doesn't do loads of stuff because he's doing obviously
revolutionising the heavy metal team, isn't he? Really, let's be honest.
But do you remember that green Skaven he did for some like White Dwarf challenge? I remember we saw that on the contrast day that we went to, and I was just like, it just makes you want to level up, I think. So.
And this was all because, of course, it's the 20-year anniversary of the Lord of the Rings films.
That was my next. Don't care about Lord of the Rings, but the base was nice. But Lord of the Rings can get in the sea.
Travesty that Tom Bombadil wasn't in it. But anyway,
I've just been listening to the Kazandi Circus recorded all. He did the Hobbit audiobook, and now he's recorded all 3 of the Lord of the Rings. And I'm about 7 hours into the 24 hours of the first book, and he's just gone past.
Is that an audio, Matt?
Yeah, audiobook.
I might enjoy that. I didn't get into Lord of the Rings because
he puts all the voices on, and it's really like immersive. But it's just like there's so much. I forgot how much singing there is. In the first
so many
couple
poems,
of chapters.
Isn't there, and songs. Yeah.
Just crikey.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm glad they cut it from the film.
If you doesn't like the film, mate,
I'm finding it very hard to get into this franchise. It's a no from me.
Don't worry, it's a big yes from me. In fact, my forgeable cart currently has several of them in.
I think you'll enjoy the Amazon series because it's based in the sort of the world, but it's not Lord of the Rings.
It will just look fantastic, won't it? I mean, whatever the ridiculous budget per episode is, it's just going to be a pretty. It's like Game of Thrones, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't like Tits and Dragons, it was still a great thing to sort of enjoy just the big, vistas and things. But this is, we talk sometimes, Derek, about the right painter for the right miniature, that type of thing. And like, I don't really think how, as a huge Lord of the Rings fan, as a big fan of Max, I don't need to ever see someone else paint this miniature, if that makes sense.
Nah.
I feel like this is it. This is tick. There we go.
Well, he converted or green stuffed the feather in properly, because I think in the actual one it's a bit funky. But
a bit more mouldy.
It's a model you can buy, isn't it?
It's a relatively old. Was it in metal? Might even have been in metal.
I think they may have ported it over to Failcast at one point, but
I
can't remember.
But yeah, he's an older model for sure. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the newer sculpts they're doing. As I say, I've got a couple in my cart at the moment. So yeah, expect more of that next year. To dilute the Eldar content.
Yeah,
which is basically going to be.
You're gonna need. There's no variety coming up on Patreon. The Elder.
Year of the Elder.
Yeah, why not? Why not? We'll talk about that later when we have a chat about sort of plans for next year. But I quite enjoy like 1 year just doing one project. Could be a giggle. Lots of people joining. Nice to see you all jumping in. Jay Dizzle, Andrew, Philip. Thanks for jumping on. Solar Auxilia. Yeah, big fan. Done some for my Iron Warriors a while back. Considering whether to add them in. Lots of Marines. Yeah. Good stuff. Right, let's crack on with. Oh, unless have we got a meme this week? Well, oh yes,
Bring
of course
the
we
meme.
do. Here we go. This is a last minute addition.
You said add it, so I've added it. So
beautiful.
Perfection.
It's just beautiful and accurate. Also, as someone who's been absolutely binging his way through Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and Minds and Sons of Anarchy, yeah, it's quite yeah.
Oh mate, if you're bored, I'd love to just sit and chat about those two shows.
Stunning, yeah. To bring that back to miniatures, a lot of people have been doing this grid thing, right, where they show what they've been painting with their face in the middle. And I follow a bust group on Facebook. I think it's just called Bust, all in capitals.
At Bust.
Yeah. And somebody today posted up a bunch of their busts they've done, and there was several ones of Breaking Bad characters.
Yeah.
There was Hector, Salamanca, and Walter. I thought that was pretty cool. I've no idea who does them or whether they're 3D prints that you can do yourself or whatever. But yeah, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, completely accurate.
I mean,
public service.
She doesn't. To be honest, the crack girl doesn't look too miserable.
So before or after the high comes down.
Doesn't look as happy as the airbrush guy though, does she?
Superhand said it's quite Moorish, so.
She did.
I was definitely not smiling when I tried to do a bit of airbrushing at lunch today.
I thought you were going to say a bit of crack.
only the good stuff. Yeah.
Do you have a copper paint airbrush?
I do.
It should have worked then.
I left
Don't
it.
be you say
for a bit
no
too
and
long.
then said that's why.
Guaranteed good results, right?
Press the magic button and it looks good.
It does when you take care of it, and I forgot to take care of it.
I know. I need a lesson on that.
Give us a bell. We'll go through it. I'll just get you sorted out. Right. Anyway, great meme. Good find, Andy. And yeah, nice. I think some of the memes we've been picking recently between us in the WhatsApp group for this recording, it was starting to go down quite a dark path.
Too brutal for TV.
So it's nice. Yeah, it's nice to bring it back to a little bit more positivity. Right, main topic: critters. This is one that we will almost certainly revisit, and I wanted to sort of separate critters out from monsters. I think because personally, when I think of critters, I'm thinking familiars, pets, little hangers-on type creatures. Not a dragon, not a an owlbear,
Salacious Crumb, basically,
or things like that. What's that? Is that Harry Potter?
Salacious Crumb. No, it's Jabba the Hutt's little geezer.
The little Fraggle-looking thing. Nice, right? Yeah, exactly that sort of thing. Massive fan. Have been for a long time. When we went to Salute sort of over the years, I know it's always something at Salute. I've gone around the different small manufacturers to try and find cool little creatures, just because they're fun. I think they're very different to paint to your sort of grim, dark space warriors and all the rest of it. But I feel that certainly GW, and I think you see it in Infinity quite a lot too, Malifaux, producers seem to be making more of them. They seem to be either releasing them as their own packs, or they're a lot of characters, as we saw with the Tau guy earlier. They've all got their little critters, their little familiars with them. And I thought it'd just be fun to take a look at a bunch and chat about them and sort of try and understand maybe why they've gone down that route, why they work for certain settings, and why we love painting them, what they bring to a model or a unit or whatever, what they allow you to do with it. So Who's up? What we got? Right. So I've
got some slides to go through.
Yeah, I've gone for Necromunda as a sort of example. What we had, this game's been out for about 4 years, 4 or 5 years or something like that now. And every sort of gang within it or faction within it, they've brought out little critters for them to have. Initially, we saw it where Forge World were producing little things, so like a Cyber Mastiff, like you can see there, or the Sump Croc that we just had for the Goliaths, and then the incredible Bomb Rats from for the Caldor gang. But we noticed when they've GW Prime has gone back and started releasing the sort of second edition, I guess, as it were, or whatever, of Necromunda, where we're getting these specialist boxes again in plastic, which is pretty amazing. Nearly all of them, they've added in little critters as well. And I just can't get enough of them. I really, really can't. And I just sort of wanted to talk to you guys sort of why you think that might be. You know, what's brought about this sudden, because, you know, if we look back at 20, 30 years ago, there was the little metal familiars for Chaos Sorcerers, right? We had them. Dungeons and Dragons, you've always had your sort of bestiary, you know, of all your little different monsters and critters in that. But again, they've largely been adversaries, right? Whereas it feels like we're getting more and more critters now that are either completely nothing to do with a gaming piece, they're just purely aesthetic, you know, or they're a proactive, you know, playing piece as opposed to an adversary model. So we had them. Skaven, we often used to have, you know, the little rats occasionally would creep in on a model. And the obvious one, which Matt's going to talk about in a bit, is squigs with orcs, you know, both in fantasy and particularly 40k. You know, if we go right back to WoW the Orcs and Here We Go and stuff, you had a whole plethora of different squigs. So yeah, just was interested to know what your guys' thoughts were on why I think anyway we're seeing tons of them now.
Do you think, like, I think there's loads of reasons why, but do you think that with how much better they are at sculpting in 3D and fitting more stuff on the sprue, that they're allowed to like have more fun? Like, I don't know if it's like not less pressure. I'm sure there's more pressure, but it's kind of like, okay, do a gang and chuck on a fun pet because you can sculpt it, squeeze it in the sprue, and you know, do they get more chance to do that? I just don't know, but I just feel that the sculpting's come along so far and it's all digital, and they can maybe just have a laugh one afternoon and get a pet.
Well, yeah, and I suppose that might sell a kit, right? I mean, that Underworld's Fisher, or what they call, know the name,
Crab
Deepkin, the Deepkin. Yeah, I mean, Crab Jensen, whatever his name was, has just been one of the stars of the year, hasn't he? I mean, I don't know if GW have done their questionnaire thing they do where you pick the favourite model, but I'll wager he's going to be, if he's an option, I'll wager he'll get, it's like Boat him at Boatface, isn't it? I bet you he'll creep in there. I mean, I know I've picked up some kits, some Underworld kits, purely because of the little critters in them. No desire to play the game or anything.
I will get that. What's it? The Buccaneers from the Harrow Deep.
Oh yeah, you got two, haven't you? Yeah. Two critters in that.
Yeah.
Is it Powder Monkey Reborn?
It's Knife Monkey, isn't it?
Yeah, Knife Monkey now. But I will get that box purely for those little guys.
Right. But why? Like, so this is what I wanted to sort of try and get to the crux of. What is it? You know, we're playing these. Obviously, these games are fun. That's what they're meant to be designed for. We all enjoy the background and the painting of the miniatures hobby, particularly the GW settings. And we generally game. You know, not lots. We're not proper, you know, hardcore gamers, but we enjoy sort of gaming with them. What is it that's taking you out of that rather serious setting a lot of the time, and going, oh yeah, do you know what? I want to paint that cute little monkey with a knife, or I want to paint that crocodile with a whatever strapped to the back. Is that all it is? Is it simply just that little bit of?
I think it is just relief? A bit of comic relief. Yeah. It's, you know, it's the grim dark. It can, if it's super serious all the time, it does get very boring.
Yeah.
Like what's it called? The Imperial Guard or whatever they're called now. they have those little Gorgon tanks. Like they're not a critter, but
the little bomb,
critter. The little bomb tanks, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're the most fun part of that army for me. And it's the same with like these little critters, like the new orc boys on the giant shark things.
Squig pigs.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
They
have that little rot on one on a tiny little squig that's a bomb.
Yeah.
They're just fun.
I did wonder if it came somewhat. So the orcs have always had. I mean, they've often been comic relief, I think, which is just a shame for them. But I think a bit of dark humour is great with them. But they've always had, Gretchins, Snotlings, Squigs. They've had the critters for a long time, and I wonder if they're starting to now go, do you know what? Look how popular those are within that orc race.
Right.
Why don't we just bring them into all of them? Because I'm trying to think now. I mean, my mind's instantly going more to fantasy, so sort of Age of Sigmar for Games Workshop, as it were. But I'm trying to think of a release we've had where we haven't seen critters with them now. The undeads, we've got tiny little dragons and things like that, little birds. Elves have got a ton. I think Andy's going to chat on them in a bit. It feels to me like it's a very conscious effort to start doing them.
I think Andy did hit on a point there, whereas orcs have always had them because it's kind of expected. I think plastics and how they do the sprue breakdowns they're much more clever about it now. So they can squeeze on a huge amount more, and fitting on a little critter might have not been possible sort of 5-6 years ago, whereas now they can just rearrange the sprues much more easily and shove something in probably.
But it must come down from the bigger designers, because if you're like the individual designer, you've got to obviously get everything you do approved. So I don't know if it's like, can I do a cat? It's got to come from the top.
They might.
Have they seen it must have gathered momentum. Like they did a couple, critters, and they were popular, and we've seen a lot of that. And in I don't think it's in a cynical, profit kind of way. But do you think they saw, these are popular? It's fun for us to do. It's no harm and doesn't cost us any extra really to tack it on. And is it that's how it's worked? It's just sort of got momentum because of popularity and things like that. And they must get more feedback or more analytics of what's popular these days, because if they just see billions of retweets or posts of these funny all those crab memes and stuff. Yeah. Even if it's a meme, but if you're just seeing that crab over and over again, they're like, cool, that's a success, right? Because it must be. So I don't know.
I imagine the designers also probably just throw little things in as a personal project, they got 5 minutes of lunch or something. They'll just start doing something, and you'll probably have. I imagine they all sit in the same room, and you'll probably see like their heads or whatever. We'll probably see them doing something and say, "That's cool, let's add it in."
Well, it must sell. So they go, hey, this sells. So we can just have a laugh.
Well, it might well broaden the appeal slightly too, right? So if you touched on it there, Matt, saying, and this is becoming GW centric, but I think it was the fact that the biggest player in the game, GW, seemed to be producing loads of them now, was what made me sort of think about it as a topic. So we'll focus on them for a bit. But I've lost my train of thought now with that one. Gosh, lost train. Keep going. Acorn for the Blood Bowl, the squirrel, get a free tree man. Exactly, right? So that's it, broadening the appeal. So Matt, you said about if it's too grimdark and all the rest of it all the time, it becomes boring or stale
depressing
or whatever like that, and possibly only appeals to a narrower section of people, right? Whereas as the hobby is, it seems almost weekly now becoming not mainstream, but more and more people are getting into it now. They're getting into fantasy, into sci-fi, into miniatures painting, be that busts, be that scale model, whatever. All of a sudden, GW add in all these cool critters, and you might have someone who'd never really thought about painting GW models, but go, oh, what's all this underworld stuff? What are all these cool little fish and crabs and monkeys with knives? And maybe they'll You know, like in the past, how you had some people who would only play the video games, right, for GW. They never did anything else. But the fact was, they played the video games, right? They got in there. So yeah, I wonder if there's an element of that. Certainly on Twitter, it feels like I see a lot of new hobbyists raving about the critters.
Well, the thing is, they're always in addition to, because they're not they're not replacing stuff. So if it's not like, oh, can we get some new tactical marines or a bug? It's always as well as. So I think how can you go wrong? You know, if you want to be serious, you don't build the little thing that comes with it. But if it's added on the sprue, it's an absolute win.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you just got nothing to lose, really, if you just got these little pets and stuff like that go with it. It's just brilliant, really. A bit like Kragnos, he's got some little geezers on his base you don't have to stick on.
Does he?
Yeah, just like holding some stuff. And
nice.
Nurglings as well.
I was going to say, Nurglings are a really good example, aren't they? They've been around a fair while now. But,
what, the one with his hands like that?
Yeah, sassy
Nurgling.
Did that sell that kit? Tell me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That must have sold the kit.
Absolutely. That Death Guard release, quite a few of the characters had them, didn't they? And I know, personally, I had zero interest in the Marine model, but I really did want those. I mean, I didn't buy Mortarion purely for the various little Nurglings with him, but
the fly Nurglings.
Put it this way: it swung it from do I to yeah, sod it, I'm gonna get it. And the Grey Unclean one, didn't we? We saw that tiny Nurgling with the sword, and I've seen a few people base it on the Grey Unclean one base and just have him on a rock.
Brilliant.
It gives you extra attacks.
There we go, right? Yeah, it's so that's sort of talking about it. What we think of it from a production point of view or whatever, like what marketing, why do we think we're doing it? What do you guys enjoy about them from the painting point of view? What are they? I mean, I suppose I ought to ask: do you like the fact that we're getting all these critters now? I mean, you don't feel it's diluting anything, right?
Well, that's what I just said. It's always an addition to, right? So you can.
So for you, it's because you can put them on or not, right?
So I think that it's just fun, isn't it? Like the Farseer I did with the cat. The cat made it for me because I sort of realised I could have this little composition where the cat was curling around the back and the sort of curve of the cat matched the base and stuff, and that just made it for me. And having the two together made it a piece rather than just a mini. So I'd like to paint a Farseer anyway, but yeah, definitely doing that cat was a little driver for me. And I have the Underworld's warband that has a little lion in as well.
Oh yeah.
And I love it. I love the cat. Every time you play a game, everyone's like, right, I'm going to kill the cat.
Kill the cat
you
first,
go for it. You try. And whenever the cat does something like kills a leader or something, it's just hilarious, right? So it's like I got a painting project that's on a plinth, and I really like that. And then you got something funny in the game, so it adds to both elements really. So it's I don't do it often. It's not so I've not got a lot of pieces with it, but yeah, it's super fun. So I just like I keep saying, I just think, why not have them? They're such a great addition, and it's not stopping them from sculpting tactical marines. So.
No, well, quite. So going on that slide or cycle round in a bit, Andy's Farseer that he's on about, he did a brilliant little. Was it a vignette? Or sorry, really, it's just a character,
single
right?
mini.
It's a single
it's
mini. I think you covered it on Patreon, actually, didn't you? Yeah. So, what would you, when you were putting that piece together, how much impact? Like, did you know straight away? You were like, that cat from that kit is going on here. Like, that is a major part of this model. Like, did it?
Yeah.
It was an integral part of the project, right? If it hadn't been there, you may not have done the project, or
it definitely encouraged me to do it. Yeah, it made it interesting because it's just the model's just a head swap to make it from a Spirit Seer to a Farseer, and then it's just the cat from another kit. So it's not a conversion or anything, but it's those two elements just totally changed it. And like, well, now I want to do this project. Well, there's a Spirit Seer out the box, and I'm not really interested. So, and I think that whole triumvirate for the Eldar is awesome. But she's so cool, and I think it really adds to the feel of the character, and you don't even need to like read the fluff. Just understand that there's a weird alien links, and they're obviously this quite high powered character, and maybe they would have like a little pet. So I think it adds to the story without you kind of needing to say any words, right?
Adam's brought that up in the chat. He's like, surely they act as an aspect of world building. And yeah, I think that's exactly what you said there, isn't it? You've echoed that. Damon's asked, where are the crows from? Are those sheen birds for the Cawdor gang in Necromunda? Because obviously all the birds are robots. So
I've never seen them.
yeah, there's tons of critters, man. There's tons and tons of critters on there.
Obviously, I haven't kept up with Necromunda at all.
So yeah, let's. I sort of asked Andy to sort of pick on elf critters because that's one of his passions, elves and Eldar and whatnot. And I think you've painted quite a few of them now. They are familiars, right, in that traditional sense. As you said with a cat, it feels right, doesn't it? With these, they're slightly magical, the elves, right, and the Eldar psychers and all the rest of it. Having these little familiars sort of seems to make sense with them. I'm trying to think if the Lumineth have any.
Yeah, you got the owl on the magician.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, magic owl. I did the seagull that went with the stormcast. He's brilliant in the game, the seagull.
So is he an actual playing piece?
It's quite cool because he just basically he's just +1 dice whenever he's like 2 spaces away. So you just nip him round and he's just this brilliant little support character. And it's great. It's such a nice mechanic because it's a mini buff. You've got this little seagull flopping around. So yeah, they're brilliant. There he is, little gull. So yeah, I played some games with that now, with that seagull. Played games with my little cat, and they always do stuff. So
that's nice. That's nice to have that on as well.
Yeah, it's cool.
Matt, I sort of spoke to you about whether you wanted to chat about squigs a bit and the sort of the evolution of them from, as I said, back in the 80s. Wow, the orcs, and here we go. We had some squig models. I still got them, some absolutely teeny tiny little lead models. We're talking a couple of millimeters, and they were everything from, you had a squig that puked up oil when you squeezed him, and that was how they greased their, mechanisms and stuff. The hair squig, of course, which is what they brought back recently with that Zogrod model. Again, orcs can't grow hair, so they attach these squigs to themselves to look hairier. But we saw with the recent 40k orc release, all of a sudden a ton of different squigs coming out. And I know obviously you've just had October. Well, I say just had October a month or so ago, and you are working on your Grot tank piece for competition. So yeah, sort of just wondered if you wanted to have a natter about them.
I mean, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because obviously you've had squigs in fantasy a lot more than 40k for quite a while. You've got like the squig hoppers, the squig herders in the orcs and goblins range. So they've been around for quite a while. But now they've brought them into 40k in a sort of a big way. And like in the Kill Team Commandos, I think it has that squig bomb.
Yeah.
Which, just send your dog out with some bombs strapped to it. Go
That's
play with the other.
That's a very fun model to build, because as you're building him, like every piece has got a different kind of explosive strapped to it. It's like, there's some dynamite there, there's a landmine there's some grenades on that bit. Yeah.
And it's just fun, like, because in the game it's just hilarious to see, like, you could go up to they're going to mostly ignore it a lot of time in games because it doesn't really do a huge amount, but it can do a huge amount if you get like some lucky dice rolls. So you could run it up to a character and it just dies, or you could run it up to a character and it kills their leader.
But you see, that kind of thing motivates me to paint it too, though. Do you know what I mean? It's that, there's an element of, oh my god, do I really have to paint this 45th Tactical Marine that I'm just going to shovel off the table when it gets, when I roll whatever's. But like Andy saying, the seagull, as Phil saying, the seagull nicks your chips and craps all over your chariot. Apparently, that's the mechanic, I guess, for Underworlds. I don't know. I don't play. But yeah, having it do something just makes it even more. Like I've always been a fan of sticking little familiars and critters to the bases of characters. So like Andy's done on that Farseer, I've always enjoyed, giving them birds and stuff. And James is saying in the chat, the Imperium faction in 40k, their sort of version of critters are things like your cyber familiars and your servo skulls and things like that. I love that side of it, right? But the squigs particularly, like you're saying with the bomb squig or the seagull or crabman, whatever his name is. He has got a name, I assume, the crab in Underworlds.
Probably.
I ought to have learned it. Sorry.
I can look, but it's in the other room.
But surely that is a massive motivating factor, right? Of getting it painted up.
Yeah. I mean, there was in the old fantasy before they blew up the world, you had Wurzag the Green Prophet, and he came with a tiny little squig on the base. Like there's like a separate model that you put on his own separate 25mm base, and the whole point of that squig was because he had a spell that, if I can't remember how, it was like you had to get a 6/6. It was like a Perils of the Warp or whatever that was in fantasy. If you got a 6/6, you could turn an enemy character model into that squig, and it's dead. So you can you get within like 12 inches of the enemy's leader, roll a 6/6, you either kill yourself or you turn his leader into a pet squig.
Love it. So
I would just try that every game.
Well, that's it, right? So
that's all I ever tried to do.
Older fantasy, what would it have been? Fifth edition it would have been, when the Bretonnians came out. They had a Lady of the Lake character who had that with a frog. So again, you got a tiny little 28mm frog that you could do something very, very, very similar to. But I thought it was interesting with the squigs as well, how they've gone from being, and again, we're sort of needing to go all the way back to the 80s and 90s, and I appreciate a lot of people in the hobby now don't have that they weren't there, they weren't hobbying in that, but back then the squigs were very much the sort of fun, they were almost just background flavor. They might be modeled on occasionally, but again, the technology wasn't quite as good anyway. But it feels like that idea in particular has just been developed to where we now have them as full units of things. And I do want, I mean, we saw it with the Griffhounds, didn't we, for the Stormcast faction? Originally, they were just a little bird dog that was, faithful little hound. And now you can get packs of them, and we've seen them now morph into sort of beasts of burden and pulling chariots and all that sort of thing. I'd be really intrigued, say, if we see with the Ideneth Deepkin, are we gonna? I mean, probably not, but are they gonna run with the crab thing? Are we gonna start
seeing a massive one?
Right, this is it,
like a king crab,
right?
That'd be so good.
Could be amazing, right? And that's all been born out of just a little bit of fun, a little bit, because the original release, they all had little fish, didn't they, on their bases, different types of fish floating around in the magic sea or whatever it is. But then now we're seeing it as playing pieces in Underworlds. I wonder if we'll see that sort of develop further. So. It'd be really, really cool, right?
Imagine a crab the size of that turtle thing.
Yeah.
Now the forest spider like that.
That'd be wicked.
If not, let's just make one.
I was going to say that kit's probably not that hard to turn into a crab.
Why not get a real crab?
Yeah.
Put some Deepkin on it. I'll research that. I'll try and get it done.
I've just noticed on the slides pinging past, there was one that I had picked for. I'm pretty sure I picked it as a paint cultist thing for later on, but I think Matt's chucked it in here, which is Joshua Lye's little penguin.
There is another one in paint cultist.
I mean, what a model! Like that now. So outside of GW, a few years ago, Andy bought this. So I hadn't really come across larger scale miniatures, sort of competition type stuff. 54, 70 miles scale. I'd seen Black Sailors from Big Child and stuff, but I was round at Andy's and he had this tiny little antelope figure, this little deer. It's not that I hate. It was it really took me back because I guess because it was so innocuous, right? It wasn't a character, it wasn't fantastical, it was just a little antelope figure.
Well, I need to find that.
You know, but it opened, and Joshua Lied, I think, does quite a lot of those, doesn't he? But he just makes, and does Roman Le Pat often do them? I'm trying to remember.
Roman did a cow from the same range that I got that deer you're talking about from, and he just stuck like straw in its mouth, and it's like, it's just brilliant. But like, you know, I think painting, you know, you got the fun critters and the cartoony GW thing, but you've also got that kind of serious painting an animal thing, and it's actually really awesome.
This is it, right? You
enjoyed,
you enjoyed doing the wolf, right, from the Deogard range. So that's on, you know. So what as someone who is constantly looking to drive their painting forwards, what is it about the so as you said, the slightly less funny critters, the animals, right? Animals or monsters? Like what is it about them that is appealing to you? Why have you done that?
Texture, isn't it? It's like it's a texture challenge. So even like doing like the centaur, you know, making a realistic horse look like shiny black, and I love paint. I've done it a lot of times now, but I don't think I'll get bored of painting that kind of fur effect. And that gazelle that we're talking to, the sort of box art or main paint job of that is phenomenal. I think it won like a gold award at Monty in historical, and it's just the gazelle in the grass
next to these like fucking great tanks and Napoleon and all that, right?
It's so good though. It's just the perfect gazelle. The fur painting was unbelievable, beautiful in just a grass space, and you're like, I want to own that more than any of these others because that is just brilliant, and also quite good for showing muggles. You know, it's just miniatures, and that's cool. It's like a mini animal. I know what that is. Rather than show them a bomb squig, and I'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Sure.
So I don't know. It's cool. Just going back to Joshua, I just think he's amazing. All the critters he does. He does like a dog asleep in the boat, and
Will's just said in the chat that water buffalo he's done. Yeah,
and the chair with the butterflies.
Yeah.
Did he paint some fish? Am I remembering that right? A year or two ago, like just tiny fish.
That was Oliver Spaeth.
That was Oliver Spaeth. Yeah, sorry.
I think the other one is. Sorry, carry on.
We were saying we could do a whole episode just on Joshua, but maybe we could just get him on.
Yeah, just get him on or something. I think that's a good idea.
Should have done a summary of Lucas Pina critters as well, because I tell you something, what pushed me over the edge to order the latest Lucas Pina bust was the owl.
Yeah,
on the King Arthur piece.
His owls are perfection.
I know.
Right? I mean, he is the best sculptor, right? I think it's fair to say at the moment, certainly the hottest sculptor or whatever. Like, and even from day dot with the witches, we had the owls, right, that were dancing along. You know, the things like
just make you want to paint the model, don't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. They just, again, going back to what Adam said and you said, Andy, it's such a little small addition to the model, but you're suddenly able to tell so much more about that environment, that world that model's from, by having those little critters in them. Yeah, it's very exciting. So, sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to cut you off on the squig stuff. Was there any more you wanted to chat about on them?
That's kind of it. They're just epic.
Yeah, they really, really are. So I think that's sort of the three. As I'm sure you guys have heard, we could probably waffle and go off on a lot of tangents when it comes to the critters. But it felt like, a Christmas critter episode. We're not necessarily going to do a Christmas episode, but it felt nice to at least touch on them. So what I'm hoping for is on the hashtag paint cultist, the paint cultist hashtag, just bombard it with pictures of your critters. I would love to see more of them over the next few weeks.
We'll do another critter special.
We will, absolutely. Well, I'd really like the idea. I'll reach out to Joshua and see if we can
he's
get him on.
Critter master.
He really is.
Him and Lucas, yeah.
Silas is saying in the chat, have we seen the medieval Marginalia Kickstarter from a few months ago? Some very unique pieces. No, not ringing a bell. Yeah, stick a link on there or something. We'll take a look. I wonder if it's got some critters and stuff on. But I know certainly, yeah, critters for me, it's. I quite like the idea as well that they are almost a one hobby session model very often as well, right? So you get a ton of sort of positivity from doing that.
Brilliant. The Instagrams. Look, I painted this.
Yeah.
It's a little bug. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that one. Unless there's anything you guys want to add, I think we'll move on to the paint cultist stuff. If you're happy with the critters,
let's go for it.
Lovely stuff. So when we started the show, we created a hashtag paint cultist for people to share their work. It's largely on Instagram, but it is on the other social medias as well. There are thousands and thousands of pieces on there now. If you'd like a hashtag to follow that will just expose you to maybe a few miniatures or a few styles of painting that perhaps you don't often see if you stick more to your regular groups, then yeah, give it a follow. There's some brilliant stuff on there. And all I do for each show is just grab a handful that jump out to me and sort of surprise the guys with them. Because we've had a few weeks off, as I said at the start of the show, we've got a few more than usual. I think we've got about 12 or so we're going to go through.
Them. There's 13.
There's how many? Right,
13.
Matt will just cycle through them. Right, he's not going to wait for me to say next because there's a million of them. But
let's chat.
What's up first? And yes, I have picked quite a lot with critters on. This is the show's nearly a year old now, and we weren't sure how the hashtag would go and stuff. This was hands down the hardest one to pick the picks for. The quality and the imagination and the creativity on that hashtag that people are using it's outstanding. Like I could gladly have put probably 40 or 50 on here, but yeah, we're not just going to do a show of rifling through everybody else's work. We want to.
We will one day. We'll do a special.
Maybe, yeah, we'll do a special. Get some people on to talk about it.
Scroll special.
But let's anyway. Enough waffling on that. Let's have a look at them because I'm right.
Wow.
Right. Just no idea what it is.
That's kind of scary.
Incredibly cool. I reckon Rich would like this one.
Yeah.
But
that's proper good. That very good.
I just I mean,
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah. But I like the way the painting. It feels like almost like watercolor. Do you know what I mean? It's very soft, right? And it sort of really, I think it really suits the miniatures, the composition. Yeah, no idea what it is. I'm sure the account Numorian Art will probably explain what it is. And we, as usual, in the description of the show, will have linked out all the social accounts for the people that we've displayed on the show. So yeah, go and check them out. Go and give it a look. And as critters go, those are pretty creepy.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Is it a parsnip?
I think I'd end up painting them like a road cone.
Nice. Yeah.
I want to know the story, so I'm going to read that.
Yeah.
Time.
And those are dice, right, on the left. They look like it anyway.
Kiddie blocks, like toy blocks.
Yeah, so toy blocks. Yeah, don't know. But yeah, creepy, weird, wonderful painting, very cool composition. Yeah, big fan. That's an account I'm now absolutely following.
What's next, Matthew?
Next.
There are many producers making little critters. I don't know what this one's from. It's a bit remiss of me, but it reminded me of a little while back. One of the producers did a Kickstarter for something called Dungeons and Doggos, which was a whole range of D&D style miniatures, but they were all little dogs and cats and things like that, dog adventurers and cat adventurers. But this chap or this person on this account,
it's Adam.
Is it Adam? Is it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So Adam's painted it the same as his cat. So he's based it on his cat. There's a photo of that as well, so you can have a look.
It does look pretty similar.
But you know what? Like, that's nice. I dig that. A bit of fun.
I'd do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I did that blue Eldar cat.
Top bloke, top painter. and just a silly little model that's just very sweet. And a nice bit of effort on the basing too, eh?
It's got the tufts on there. That's the
Yeah.
important thing. Got your fluffy grass.
Got
You're
your
in.
flowers on.
It's a tick from me.
But yeah, so yeah, like I said, there's going to be more than one critter certainly on these picks. What's that next, bud?
Yeah, I saw this and thought it was really cool. I nearly picked it. I love the base. It's so wastelandy.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, absolutely. That's right up yours and my streets for gaming base in that.
Yeah.
And purple corn.
Short.
Yeah.
You're taking a crap range, which is corn, and you're making it slightly better. I'm saying that.
Can't polish a turd, but you can paint corn purple. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That what's his name? Dino Rider. It's really grown on me, that model. I was quite disparaging about it when Andy showed it me for the first time.
I bought it. I loved it.
But someone actually asked about whether I do one for the Patreon. I do quite fancy it actually. Chaos is always tickles my pickle. But yeah, lovely composition. And yeah, the basing just works so well, doesn't it, with the paint scheme?
Yeah.
I'd love to. I don't know if it's for an army, but I'd love to play that on a board. I think it'd look amazing.
Like that standard and on a display base.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it is, then bloody hell.
See you in 10 years.
Right, what we got up the next?
Oh, nice.
This one jumped out because of the backdrop. Really, don't get me wrong, it's a nice paint job, but what made me just click on it and look in further was the backdrop. Something that Andy's just covered on our recent YouTube video, but also we spoke about on the diorama episode. Just quite how much that the plinths with the backdrops can add to a model.
Yeah.
And it's got such that sort of Conan vibe to it, right?
The model's very Conan though.
It is, right?
Yeah. Really...
The skin's really nice on it, eh?
Yeah, the blue and then the orange little undertones. Yeah, really nice blue and orange, sort of subtle colour scheme, isn't it? And it gives that sort of moonlight effect or whatever. But yeah, definitely shows that backdrops aren't a gimmick. They're great.
Sure. That's when you say the moonlight thing, right? There's a lot going on in that model, really, isn't there? And a lot of that's down to the fact that he's crammed that plinth with interesting detail, right? You've got texture on the backdrop with the sort of molded rock forms.
Molded rock, brilliant.
Strong light with the whatever the lightning is, but then you look, then he's got some nice perspective in there. You've got that sort of lava stuff going on in the distance. He's done some resin pour right on the base of it. It's it's a lot going on, but you still the miniature's still the focal point, right?
Yeah, I keep looking at the skin, so it does, and then I looked secondary at the backdrop, which is what it should be. But I really like that rock texture on the back. I think if it was just a backdrop, obviously it'd be great, but I think that adds to it so much and helps with depth perception. And he's ticking off all his gimmick lists like I wanted to do on my Woodsman.
Yeah.
Backdrop check, water effect check.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? Get it done. Just need some tufts. He's got no tufts on there.
Yeah, not enough moss, and then you're good. More moss.
Some stalactites and stalagmites.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like it. Lovely. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do some backdrop stuff. Maybe a critter with a backdrop. There we go. Someone get that done by next episode. We'll make it the cover photo. Right, what we got next? Oh, this is. Yeah. I thought this was rad. I'm a big fan of Tyranids. Collected them in old editions. I love the just disgusting conversion he's done here.
Brilliant.
That's sticky. It's just grim.
Nice Yoo-hoo glue.
Yeah, and
that color scheme is fantastic.
It's just again like if it was an army, brilliant. Like it's so different. But it's interesting. It doesn't look hugely time consuming trying to break it down. Which is why I say I think if it was an army, then that'd be pretty cool.
So nice.
It's just really cool. And quite original, I think, as well. I've not I've not seen that, you know, and it looks like he's added some texture onto the carapace as well with a bit of texture paint and stuff. So I suppose there's some possibly some elements of Blanche. No, there's not elements of Blanche. It's definitely grimmed up.
You know, mate. I've got Tyrannid craving.
I've had it a few times, and I've bought some of the kits, but they really show their age.
I agree.
Like, it's a real shame. Like I bought the Hive Tyrant to do something with, and I was just like, I can't do it. Like I'd be spending too much time just getting it to a sort of acceptable painting level.
I still want to do a Carnifex one.
Yeah.
That was unreal when that came out. That Carnifex.
Yeah, love to do that.
You did. Well, with Space Marine 2 coming out.
Oh yeah, of course they've got the
and Warriors actually looking scary. Come on, you Warrior kit. Come on, cash in, G-Dub, on that video game. Let's go.
That'll be a duel in GD. Ultramarine versus Warrior.
Yeah.
That'd be like
give me Tyranids like this, man.
GDs, wouldn't it?
This is what I want for Tyranids. This is creepy.
Or, as I believe Ken, who painted this, is from Wales,
Tyranids.
Very
good. Right, what we got next?
I was just going to say, Jamie Davis is in the chat, and he said, try the backdrop because of your tutorial, Lenny.
Nice also, one. I really did wonder that because of like what was on there. I was like, oh, he's got the paw, he's got the backdrop. That's awesome. Nice one, James.
Great work, dude.
Tick them gimmicks off. Good lad.
Yeah, gimmick list.
Nice one. Good spot, Matt.
Wow, lovely skin. That's brilliant.
Okay. Yeah, this one had been reposted by quite a lot of those repost accounts, and I just realised I've posted up a whip here, haven't I? Which is a bit naughty. The reason I've done that is because it had been reposted by a bunch of accounts, and I was like, I'm not going to shout out the repost accounts. I want to find the original artist, and I, in my slightly sleep-deprived state, did not notice that this was a whip. I typically don't try and pick whips, just because. So there's tons of others, but it's going to be pretty good when it's done, eh?
I love that rendering on the shoulder and the trap and
that bronze skin and like
the colours are lovely, old school, like it's Frank Frazetta, is it?
Yeah,
and I think that suits the sculpt, like classic fantasy art.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe it's meant to be Conan, I think.
Yeah, not Conan.
Yeah, I love that leather as well.
It's cool, isn't it?
Or whatever. But yeah, very, very cool. Big muscly warriors all over that.
Not overly muscly though, which is nice. It's not crazy, is it?
No, he's not sort of
realistic.
Yeah.
Softened deltoids. What's the next one, Matt?
Oh, beautiful. No idea where the bus is from. But I was like, that
love these kind of
looks to me like a fun painting project.
I love these. Yeah.
If I wanted to pick something and go, right, do you know what? You're going to paint this to best of your ability, and I guarantee if I do that, I will noticeably improve. Right.
Now this week I've been playing Turok Dinosaur Hunter.
Classic.
From the 90s. Turok 2 actually, and he looks a bit like Turok, and it reminds me you got to get these feathers, and they make you special. And there's a guy that goes, "You'll have power to go through poison water," and he looks like this geezer.
Nice.
But he's all purple.
Okay, it's not quite like this geezer, but yeah.
But he looks like it.
But it just looks like a fun model to paint, man. Like,
yeah, I'd love to do something of this for historical category. Like, I'd do something really different, historical, and I think it'd be this sort of figure that would get me in.
Reminded me a bit of sort of one of the elves we're working on for the next Daegard
spoiler
thing as well. Yeah, so just exciting, right? And a lovely paint job, you know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right. Next up.
Oh, I'm so glad that this person did the little montage or whatever, the collage of these models, because I wanted to show one and I couldn't decide which one to do, and then I noticed they'd done this. This again
top
is
critter there.
I don't. Yeah, exactly right. Like I'm not sure what range. I think maybe this is the big child one that I was talking about earlier. That they did.
These do look like the little
chibi type ones. Yeah,
they're so good.
But yeah, what's his name? Rocket, yeah, the raccoon. That's right, isn't it? Is it Rocket?
The rabbit.
Yeah, good times, and not my cup of tea. That universe and all the rest of it, but
no, nor mine.
Love this. Like, yeah,
appreciate the minis though, and the paint jobs you can do with them,
and particularly on the raccoon. Yeah,
rabbit.
A lot of fun.
Nice.
So yeah, go and check that account out. We got any more, Matt?
Got 2 more.
Loads more.
Brilliant. Oh, this one proper blew me away. This one.
Wow.
And I've just realised we've already had this account up, which again I didn't realise in my rather sleep deprived state. But don't give a fuck because this is amazing. Yeah. What is this model? Where's it from? Tell me more.
It's probably on his account. I don't know personally. It's
that new company from, is it a Spanish one? Did Mark do a box art for that woman peeling her skin off? Is it that company?
Sure.
I mean, good research here. Well done, everyone. Sorry about that. That's why the account's in the description.
Yeah, go.
we want people to go explore the accounts.
Yeah, but I want this. I want to paint this, and I don't know why. I don't typically.
The goat heads.
Is it a Baphomet?
But I don't know, man. Like is it? No, it's just stuck on, right?
It's got pentagrams, though.
Yeah, has it? Oh yeah, it has on the horns. Yeah. I just think it's brilliant.
Let's have a look. Let's quickly Google it.
I also really love the painting on it. I love the eyes. I love the soft skin on the face. I love how dirty her hands are from whatever she's been doing.
Renajaro Miniatures. Rena Jora.
They're a new company. They did a Kickstarter. I think Mark did some box art for it.
Right.
The skin painting is really interesting. I really like it. It's not overly rendered, and it's really nice.
The dead goat head's kind of freaking me out a bit, though.
Oh, are you okay?
I think that's what makes me want it. Like, yeah.
Her expression looks pretty. Reminds me of that film, The Witch. Have you seen that? It's terrifying. It's brilliant. Yeah, watch that.
Nice.
The twigs of
got to go in it and they all talk like Rich. But I asked with the devil wolf.
Apparently, Turok 2 had the best weapon ever in a game, the cerebral bore.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yeah, hammering the cerebral bore all day. You know what that gun does? It should be in 40k, but it fires a little circular device and it attaches to their heads and it drills their brain out.
Oh, lovely. Well, the Tyranids have got something very similar. Actually, it's just a bug that they fire at you. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm back to not to tangent too much. Yeah, I don't know what it is about this model, man, but I need to try it. I think, yeah, don't know. It's just really struck me, this one.
Do it. I'd love to see that.
So yeah. Last one. Here we go. Oh yeah, there we are.
Actually, no, there's quite a few more.
Oh, there's more. Oh, there's some more. This, when I was talking about the very, very old orcs back in the 80s and 90s, this is a grot orderly, and I believe that is an oil squig that he has got right there. So you'll squeeze that little squig, a load of oil will come out his schnoz, and that'll grease up the mech
like a clanger, the squig.
Or whatever. It does look like a clanger, doesn't it? These, particularly the grot orderlies from this era, are just the most characterful miniatures. Yeah, I've still got a bunch of them lying around. They're just, yeah, this is lots of nostalgia for me, but also, critters. And again, as usual, a nice paint job. Good job, Ryan.
So, next up.
Oh, no way, that's cool.
So, Thomas's account is one I came across from the Paint Cultist thing a while ago now. He tags most of his stuff, which is great, and it's quite hard for me not to pick something of his each time because they really jump out to me anyway. But what this is
that glow in the eyes is so good.
Yeah,
like a medieval Ghost Rider.
It's a great, I don't think this looks particularly Games Workshop anymore.
That's haunting. That's
Right.
correct.
And again, I'm not particularly big fan of the original model of this. Andy, I think you loved it, didn't you, when it came out? You wanted to do it as a tutorial, I think, or maybe
I
it was
donated it to Rich.
Yeah, there we are.
Really wanted to paint it, but he liked vampires that week, so
but yeah, I just yeah, top work. If this jumps out at you and tickles you, then go and check out this account for sure. Love the base as well. Really like bases where they've almost just painted the top of the base. They're not textured it. They're not done anything. Yeah, big fan. And great paint job. I'd love to paint stuff like that.
That's super cool.
And black background doing work there, but adding to it, right? Enhancing the piece.
Yeah, it's cool as hell. What's the next one, Matt?
Next one.
Oh, we had to have a marine, obviously. You may have noticed there's been a severe lack of them this episode. But obviously we've been somewhat bombarded with Black Templars recently. I've got a squad on the go on the table behind me. But I always love it when I think we spoke about it on a miniature, Max's Tom Bombadil, right? I always love it when I see a painted version of something and I'm just like, yes, that's exactly what I want them to look like. I've seen it now. I can chill out, enjoy it, and move on.
He's done it
for me. He's done it with this. I don't think there's any conversion there. You know, the head. I haven't seen the head on the sprue, but it's a great head. But it's what a brilliant update to that range. I think I feel like this has got just enough sort of subtlety to it, the sculpts. Like if I could whip off the molded shoulder pads, right, if you got rid of them, it'd be just about spot on for me. Like enough detail to be cool but not be overly sort of nonsense, and just a lovely fitting sort of paint job, and your type of base as well.
I love the knee pad. That rendering's really subtle and just right. I think the Black Templars people were a little underwhelmed at first, but actually,
agreed.
Seeing them out in the wild,
yeah,
they're brilliant.
Absolutely agree with you. Yeah, hence as I say, I've got one on the go when I really should be doing other things, but I've got some on the desk. So yeah, just a lovely, you know, and again, you know, if you were bringing someone to introduce someone to 40k, and they were like, so who are the good guys? And you're like, well, maybe these guys, and you sort of show them this, and they're like, oh Christ, right, you know,
Tyranids, they're the good guys.
With Alf the Squig, yes, Sam, he did look a bit like Alf, didn't he?
Yeah,
definitely painted that one.
Alf and a clanger.
I'm trying to look at this. Jamie Mackey. So Jamie, are you new Morian art then? I think that's what you're saying in the chat. If that is, top work, mate. Loving it. He's saying that model is Rainier Roja. Did that model.
Yeah, it's cool.
So yeah, wicked. Loving it. Okay.
Right,
is there any more?
One.
Last one. Yeah, there we go. Perfection in miniature form. That right there is how I feel 90% of the time. It's just brilliant.
That is really like your spirit animal, actually.
Absolutely, mate.
Absolutely. Like that facial expression is all your personality in one.
Yeah. Right now, I wish I'd channel that Al's energy big time right now.
Oh, we should have done that if we should have done us as
critters.
Yeah. All right. Well, people can say if that's the next time when we can surprise it.
But I guess we've talked about Joshua already, haven't we? Right. We'll get him on, and we'll look at all these wonderful versions of.
I think this is a whip as well, so I reckon he's going to add some water.
Oh yeah, it does look like it's begging for a bit of a pour, right? Nice. Lovely. So yeah, thanks for indulging us on that. There was, I say, more than usual on the paint cultist, but I felt there was so much good stuff over last month that I didn't want to miss too much of it. But yeah, go on there. Thousands of great things to look at. If you want to sort of reach out to us about topics, about showing your work off, or things you'd like us to discuss, that kind of thing, you can find us on all the usual socials. It's not difficult. So yeah, please do get in touch. We will see you again in a couple of weeks for our sort of best of 21 show, right? So not a best of in the sense of like Friends episodes where it's old clips, but our sort of thoughts of how the year's gone. I think what we like that. I think we're keen to do that one, aren't we, chaps?
Definitely.
So yeah, we'll see you before the end of the year on that one. Matt, Andy, anything to add for tonight?
No.
Love it. That's what we want. So thanks as ever for joining and chatting things through, and also talking about critters, because I could do that all night long, but that would get very, very boring. If you're watching this back on YouTube, thanks very much. Share the love. If you've enjoyed it, tell your friends, point them our way. And thanks as usual to the chat for joining in, firing some questions at us, and telling Andy how Turok is indeed the greatest game that's ever been made.
Yes.
It's time to do another video game episode soon. I think there's still a ton of cool things coming out. So yeah, thanks very much, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Cheers. Bye.